What's happening, everybody? JayShockblast here, and check it out. From Ant-Man and the Wasp, we have Scott Lang, Ant-Man, from Ant-Man and the Wasp. As you can see, he is one of our many characters that we've added as part of the DLC. And there are 8 new characters, and I have to say, it's pretty obvious that they had to add Ant-Man in here. And obviously his name is the first name in the DLC, but he feels a little redundant. Now that I've kind of had a chance to sit down and really take a look at him, he does feel a little redundant. He feels as though he's basically the same character as the Scott Lang version of Ant-Man that we already have in the game. We'll look at it side by side in just a moment. Here's the original one from the game. All right, hold on. There we go. So here is the newest version, and here is the one that's already in the game. So it's the same helmet, and I think that's the biggest part that disappoints me, is they really could have changed his helmet up. He doesn't have to have that solid helmet face. And I know that in a lot of the imagery we've seen from Ant-Man and the Wasp, we've seen him, with and without the sealed face mask for the helmet. I really think they could have differentiated just a little bit. Obviously, we do see a little bit of change in the chest piece, and actually, I don't know which one this is anymore. So this is actually the movie Ant-Man, and this is actually. This is actually the movie Ant-Man. That was the one that was in the regular game. See, you can barely tell the difference. Obviously, the chest piece is a little bit different, and that's great. Don't get me wrong. I do appreciate that they basically added some mesh to the chest piece and the leg piece, and changed it just a little bit. But, I mean, otherwise, it's mostly the same exact figure. And I understand that's kind of what you run into when you potentially have, multiple versions of characters in the game. But I mean, that is definitely something that they could have adjusted on their own. Even I believe his moves are the same. I believe he basically does everything else the same. Let's go back here. Yeah. So I mean, it's just one of those things where, when you get these DLCs, they're very fairly priced. $3 for the DLC, and, obviously it's included as part of the Season Pass. The Season Pass is obviously a great value, but, you'd like to see them do a little bit more to differentiate the two characters. Honestly, all they really had to do in this case was seal up the mask, and it would have been pretty good. Ant-Man and the Wasp, typing that in as we do this, and if you look at his mask, his mask in all of the imagery leading up to it is completely sealed, so you don't actually see his mouth or anything like that. So I don't understand why we had to go that route. I really feel like they should have gone ahead and done that extra little piece of legwork. I am under the impression that these things do not take that much to create, the actual, little uniforms and whatnot. And maybe that's ignorance on my part, and that's fine. I mean, I guess everybody's allowed to have those unreasonable expectations, but it just feels like they could have done more for this character, and I don't know why they didn't just go ahead and seal up that helmet. It would have made it feel just different enough. As it stands now, I mean, I can barely even tell the difference between the two. I do like the fact that both of them can go large at the same time now. I don't think that was something that could actually happen, earlier on. And actually, that Ant-Man shrunk down, whereas this one does not. So that kind of tells you all you need to know right there. Whereas that Ant-Man will stay large, whereas the other one does not. So I do appreciate at least that aspect of it. And, it also would have been really cool if, when Ant-Man did like a double jump or tried to fly, that, whatever the new version of Anthony is popped out and he was able to fly on an ant. We've already seen that character model in the game. So why not? It's just the little things. I know that, I don't really feel like it's unreasonable. You put out a piece of content that people pay for, and you kind of expect to see a little bit more. And I understand that there's 8 characters total, and the other 8 characters are definitely different enough. And obviously this is the 3rd Ant-Man character in this game. We obviously have the Hank Pym version, classic version of Ant-Man right here. So, just the little things, man. They do count, and that is just something to consider. Obviously, it's a little bit of a variance in the suit, but the helmet, I don't know if there's some kind of limitation in the way they do the helmets, but they really should have made another helmet in this case. I mean, as it stands, they already have, well, not really Giant Man, but, they have this guy right here, the Human Fly. I guess they didn't make a full helmet. They just made a headpiece. But I guess that counts as a helmet too. So, they've obviously gone ahead and made new helmets, and they did it with the Wasp. I don't understand, why we couldn't really just go ahead and do the same thing with Ant-Man. I don't know if they felt like, Ant-Man was didn't look right, or they looked too much the same. But then again, with the Wasp helmet, they didn't include her antennas either. So I'm trying not to be too overly critical, but it's just the little things that you want, There's almost no point in having the original Ant-Man if you're going to just have this Ant-Man come in with the Ant-Man and Wasp. Let me take that back. The original Scott Lang Ant-Man, if you're not going to, change his helmet up here. It's just they're too similar to have in the same game. But, otherwise, he does all the same things that the Scott Lang Ant-Man does, like I said. He can lock on to different things and run into them. And he does the little shrinking. And I mean, Ant-Man's a great character in this game. They really do a great job with the animations. But, I want to see, as part of DLCs, I want to see the characters, really be different and really change up a little bit. So that's all I have to say about Ant-Man. The Ant-Man and the Wasp DLC is out now. If you don't have the season pass, it's $3. It's honestly an amazing value. Ant-Man and the Wasp is in theaters today for me. Hopefully it's in theaters where you are, and hopefully you get to see it soon. But if not, be on the lookout, because it'll be out there soon. So, what do you guys think of Ant-Man? Do you think they could have done a little bit more? Did they do just enough? We are, yeah. I mean, it even has like the same kind of shrink maneuvers and everything. I don't know. I just kind of feel like the designs of the characters, I can't imagine them taking a super long time, because we see so many people without all their tools and dev tools and stuff like that make their own variations, in Photoshop and stuff like that. So, and put them in the game with mods. So, I mean, that's kind of the reason why I feel like maybe it's not that complicated, but, I digress. Still, I love the DLC. The level was really cool. And, the other characters are pretty good too. So I'll be having individual character showcases throughout the day. That is Ant-Man from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see.